Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we have another video on main control for the Iowa-class battleships, or rather, on the plans for main control in Iowa-class battleships. So, the Iowa-class battleships actually share a tremendous amount of similarity with the Midway-class aircraft carriers. The Iowas are commissioned 43, 44. The Midways start coming online in 45. They share power plants. They're roughly the same displacement. They're both capital ships. Most importantly, both classes are in commission up into the 1990s. The Midways more or less continuously in commission, except for a couple periods where they're getting rebuilds, while the Iowas go in and out of service, usually based on whether the country's at war or at peace. When our friend Bob, who's one of the volunteers on Midway, gave us a tour there back in September, one of the spaces he pointed out was their main control. They got a specific booth for the engineering officer of the watch to sit in to monitor the ship's propulsion. Much like the Iowa-class battleships, they had started out with main control being in an engine room. We are currently in engine room number 3 on USS New Jersey, which is main control for us. Notice we have the throttles just for our engine, but we've got the pressure and temperature gauges and the RPM indicators and all those different indicators for all 4 engines. We can't control any engines but 3, but we can see what they're doing. Likewise, because engine room 3 is one of the inboard propeller shafts, the turbines are further inboard, as opposed to engine rooms 1 and 2, where it's outboard shafts and the turbines are roughly where we're standing right now. Because they're further inboard, there's extra room behind the throttle board. So whereas in engine room 2, the one on our tour route, you've got about this much space. You got the throttle and then you've got the side of the ship. Here, we've now got this just going all the way back to the bulkhead, about 12 to 15 feet, something like that, which gives us room for this little desk area. There's a slightly more equipped sound-powered phone booth known as a herein, H-E-A-R-H-E-R-E. And this was main control for the Iowa-class battleships, and it's not too dissimilar from what main control was on Midway as built. The engineering spaces, though, are not climate controlled in any way. Well, I mean, the engineering equipment is making them hotter than normal, so I guess if you're up in the far north in the winter, it's got climate control of a sort. But the Iowa-class battleships tend to serve in the South Pacific, fighting the Japanese, fighting the Vietnamese, or in the Persian Gulf in the middle of the desert. So they tend to be in pretty hot spaces. Even though in the 1980s they add pretty extensive air conditioning to the class, they don't even attempt it in the engineering spaces. So Midway gets a separate air-conditioned booth near the end of her career, and a similar one was designed for the Iowa-class battleships. Last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago by the time you're watching this, we put out a video showing plans for moving New Jersey and Iowa's white phosphorus 5-inch ammunition magazine from the space where it was to other 5-inch magazines so they could turn it into main control. But those blueprints only were for BB 61 and 62. So I reached out to our counterparts on 63 and 64 to see, hey, did you already have main control here? Was that added during your activations? They were reactivated a couple years after Iowa and New Jersey, so they did get some stuff done differently. And our good friend Frank Clay, the curator over in Missouri, got back to us the same day, which I absolutely hate this. I get a question about going to some deep, dark part of the ship to like take a picture for somebody. I get very little time at the desk. I don't get to come down in the engine rooms very often. I don't often have time to fulfill those requests in a timely manner. But Frank like immediately jumped up and went on the ship and got it. Shoot, it was probably 6 in the morning in Hawaii when he was responding to me. So a lot of love for him and the crew over there that's supporting us other museum ships. But yeah, so he goes and he takes some pictures of the space I described that was supposed to be main control. It's their band equipment locker. It's an empty room. So the reason their blueprints or the blueprints that I have, the change order, doesn't show that being cut out on them, it's because it's already empty. They don't have to remove anything. Remember, I only had the plans for deinstalling the magazine preparatory to installing main control. I do not have any plans for installing main control in that space. So likely the deinstall plans that I had are just Iowa and New Jersey. The install plans would be for all 4 ships. The 2 that never got a white phosphorus magazine there, and the 2 that had to have the rip out. But he was also able to confirm that even though Missouri was kept in service the longest of the 4 Iowas, she never got main control there. It was still the band equipment locker when she was taken out of service. But she did get a main control booth. It seems like the ship's final engineering officer, when she's being sent over to the Persian Gulf, like sometime in 1990, had them build a booth right here where we are in what's already main control, and just, I guess they cut through the deck and plumbed in air conditioning just to this insulated booth so that the officer can sit here. It's got a window on it so he can still see all the controls here like he always did. It's not altering any other spaces. It's just enclosing what the Iowa's always used as a booth. So that is super cool to find out. And I suspect Missouri is the only one that got that modification. I suspect that's also an unauthorized ship alt, of which we have so many on New Jersey too. The Navy had have kept the Iowas around longer and done the main control change out, it would have likely looked like Midways, where all the gauges and things would have been installed in there, but there would be no controls. It's not like main control on a modern ship where you hardly have to crew the engineering spaces unless you're doing maintenance. And from main control, you can control your throttles and open valves and do that sort of stuff. Here, it would still just be a monitoring position, but it would at least be air conditioned. One of my favorite things to learn about are changes that were proposed and never made. And installing an air-conditioned monitoring station for main control makes sense. There was room for it. It even made sense the way Missouri did it, where they just enclosed the space. So I really like that, and it's one of those things that I think they should have done on all the Iowa-class battleships. What do you think is a change that they should have made to the Iowa-class battleships near the end of their service? Let us know in the comments section down below. We already got to see some of those changes when Bob gave us the tour on Midway, and we made a couple of videos about them. So again, thanks to the folks on Midway and the folks on Missouri for helping us in this video. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate the support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.